Welcome back to another episode of John the PM, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about personnel action, hiring, firing, terminations on that side. Rule number one, before I launch off, is always have your HR professional by your side to kind of understand the local municipality rules, state regulations, things of that nature. There are some specific actions that your HR professional should take you through. What I want to kind of talk to you is the subset part of that, the add-on portion, especially you as a project manager, you as a leader, within your organization, on that side. So let's assume that you're spinning up a project team, on those areas. Believe it or not, the very first thing I would actually think about is when the project is over, what happens to the people? That's usually kind of like my first mindset. There's really two or three things that can happen. One is that they become a stay behind team. What do I mean by stay behind team? The programmer, the coder becomes the system analyst. The project manager becomes the department head and so forth. They stay behind. They move from a project role to an operational, but they basically stay in place. The second option is that they become a free agent. What do I mean by free agent? They are released by the company and they go work for another company. The third option, which is kind of in between the two, is that they go back to their other job. If they were pulled off their original job, they may go back to their original job. Sometimes we'll call those special assignments. There's a variety of different terms that could be used. That's all going to depend on your particular organization. The other option, honestly, is that they just roll onto another project. In other words, the organization just has so many projects that are going on that they just stay there and they just assume another project, but they stay within the company. So those are going to be your four options. And I would have that clearly laid out and understood by whoever you hire and the organization, what actually happens to the individual, after the project is finished. Why do I begin with that? One is Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. And two, you want to take care of your people. And one of the best ways of taking care of your people is to make sure that they are ready for whatever happens later on. All right, so we talked about the end. Let's talk about the beginning. But on the hiring piece, probably the very very first thing I would do on the hiring piece is have a PD, position description. What is it that you want this person to do? What is their lane? What is their responsibility? What is the skill sets that they need? Now you can bring them in. You can have a 360. Even if it's going to be a 360 interview, which means that their subordinates, their peers, and their senior management, senior supervisor, interviews them. I am actually a fond believer in doing that. The one of the biggest reasons why is because it gives an opportunity for the candidate to kind of see the entire organization, make sure that there's a good cultural fit. Do I like these people? Do they like me? And two, to get different perspectives. And three, I think it kind of sets the stage when they are actually working together as a team. There is some buy-in as to the team makeup. Remember, you are the leader, you are the manager, so you actually have the final, yay or nay. So I wouldn't outsource it to your team, but I would, hold that as the final. There may be actually be some specific reasons why you want somebody on that team. When you do the hiring piece, sometimes what's awesome is what is also done is to give them a project, quote unquote, when they initially come on. It gives them an opportunity, part of their onboarding process, to meet the rest of the organization. Sometimes it's just setting up a conference. Sometimes it's doing some work that needs to be done, on those pieces. Maybe it's something that you just haven't been able to get to, but it's fairly light, on that side. The main purpose of it, there's two purposes. One is to actually get that tasking done because it needs to be done anyway. But then two, it gives them a reason to introduce themselves around the company, around the organization, and to interface with these folks. I'll put a face to a name as they kind of launch off. There's some other pieces, that are quite applicable. Again, once you made that decision, again, check in with your HR professional. Make sure that there's a good fit. Sometimes you're not hiring quote unquote the best person, you're hiring the person that has the best fit. Understand what kind of a person or what kind of a team they're going on to. Are they going on to a team that people have their specialty trades and they're supposed to be subject matter experts in that one area? Or is the expectation that they have multiple skill sets and that they're able and willing and able to deploy them, in different areas? When you onboard them to the team, make them feel comfortable for whatever reason. I've actually ran into this where people spend a lot of money bringing in somebody, and then they don't give them the appropriate scaffolding to help them be successful. They spend more time tearing them down, making them feel not wanted, things of that nature. Welcome aboard, on that side. I always kind of caution teams that the person comes in with the new perspective. Respect that perspective. On the flip side, too, the person that's coming in, the team's probably been doing a pretty good job, so you may want to kind of like sit and listen, see how they do things, and then, kind of work your way in. Again, that's all going to be a part of that onboarding process. Again, when you get towards the end of the project where people are inevitably let go because the project is over, okay, again, there's just going to be really four options. The two extremes is that you're just a stay behind team, or you become a free agent, and then the two in between, you just roll on to like another project, or you go back to your original day job. On that side, sometimes you're just kind of like pulled off to do a special assignment, and then when the special assignment is over, you go back. All right, so just some quick tidbits on hiring, terminating. Employees, again, always refer back to your HR professional. He'll guide you through these things, but you are the project manager, and you should have the final say, as far as with regards to, the employment action and what they're actually doing, on that work. Hopefully you enjoyed this session. If you like this session, please hit the like button, subscribe button. We hope that all your projects go well, and please let us know how we can be of service. Have an awesome day.